Music from John Coltrane. We heard it in its entirety, Meditations, a suite with some important developments for Train. It was a transitional record in a lot of ways. We heard the whole thing. The Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, compassion, love, consequences, and serenity. 5 parts of a suite recorded November 23rd of 1965, featuring a band that was changing. And one of the important parts of that new sound was with us right now. It's Rashied Ali. He's on drums. Elvin is also on drums. There's 2 drummers on this record. McCoy Tyner on piano. Pharoah Sanders on tenor saxophone, and Jimmy Garrison bass. It's 2:11. You're tuned to WKCR-FM in New York, 89.9, and I'm happy to welcome to the studio two men who have a lot of great things to say about Coltrane, Rashied Ali and Sonny Fortune.
That was my first record with Coltrane, man. Meditations. That was the first time I recorded with him, and I'm still reeling about that because I was totally unprepared for what would happen, but it came together.
Were there rehearsals?
No rehearsals. Coltrane never rehearsed. He didn't feel a need to rehearse because he was playing so much. He would just bring a tune on a gig and we'd work it out. And that's how he did it. When he brought new material, we played them live, and after a couple times of playing them live, we went into the studio and did them. So one time I asked him to rehearse. I mean, I really had to ask him a lot, and so he set it up to do it. I had a loft in Brooklyn at the time, and so he set it up to have a rehearsal in Brooklyn, right? And he did it. I mean, I guess I was just on his case so much about it because I wanted to be sure. And so he came, and Alice and Pharoah, we all came to Brooklyn, and all we did was play. We didn't rehearse no new tunes or nothing. We just sat there and played for a while, and then that was it, you know. But he never really rehearsed.
This must have been around 66, early 67 you're talking about?
Well, that was when he was alive, of course. I mean, you know, that was. But
it wouldn't have been the time of Meditations, though. You're saying a little bit later.
No, that was later because actually I played with Coltrane from 65 until 67, so I was only there for a year and something, a year and a half, or maybe a year, 2 years.
But you made a pretty good effort to try to sit in before that, though, right? It's early '64, I think you said.
I was trying to get with Coltrane ever since I can remember. You know, even back in Philadelphia, I wasn't quite ready, but I thought I was, and I was trying to play with him even back in there. But it waited until I got to New York, you know. But yeah, I had been trying to get with him a long time.
But both you guys were aware of Train in your Philly days, though, I guess, right? Before even coming to New York?
I was aware of him. I'm sure Sonny was aware of him, but I was aware of Train. In fact, even before I realized who Train was, I was aware of Train because I have a second cousin. His name he was like a very influential drummer around Philadelphia. His name was Charlie Rice. And Charlie Rice, and he had a younger brother named Bernard Rice, who I thought was even that much more outside drummer. And they used to do they used to rehearse, and they used to play, and they used to do a lot of things in Charlie's house, and we used to, me and my cousin Johnny Salgado, which is another cousin of mine, we were younger, we used to sit around and kind of listen to what was going on there, but I didn't recognize who was there. I can't even remember who was there because I'm talking about 7, 8, 9, 10 years old at that point. So, but actually, Train was in my life ever since the beginning. I can remember because Charlie Rice and Train were pretty good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sonny, you feel the same way? You feel like he's been a part of your life since really early on?
Well, not that early, but from around 19, maybe 20.
I met him for the first time. I talked to him somewhere around 59, 60, 61 in a club in Philadelphia called the Showboat.
Yes.
And every time he would come there, I'd be there. And I would just say anything to strike up a conversation, talk about anything just to talk to him. But Actually, now that I think about it, the first time I saw Train, I don't know if I spoke to him at that particular time. It was a place on Ridge Avenue, the Night Owl.
On the point?
Right.
Yeah, right on the point.
Yeah.
He used to walk the bar.
Oh, yeah. Well, at that time,
tenor saxophone.
But at that time, he wasn't walking the bar. He
all right.
He was, he had just kind of, I think he had, was in kind of transition with Miles.
Okay.
Because he came in by himself. And they were doing like, featured, cats that would come in and train. And I remember, standing outside, that must have been maybe around 58. Around 58. And I remember standing outside near him. I've often told people this story. I remember standing outside near him on intermission, and for some strange reason, I got the impression that he looked like he was about 9 feet tall to me. I mean, he was like a huge cat. And
that's because you was in awe.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
That's great.
I mean, he was like such a huge cat to me at that. And that was the first time I saw him or stood near him. And then I went to see him one time when used to have Sunday afternoons up at the Venango theater up in Tioga.
Venango.
Was a theater up there, and I remember one time I went up there to see him, and Lee Morgan was on the gig, and John was doing his thing, because when John does his thing, everybody just kind of get back in. And then just stand back and let him have it.
But that was weird. I followed a lot of the stuff John did. Like, I never seen him play with Muhammad Habibullah, but that was one of Muhammad Habibullah's main topics of conversation. And he played tenor saxophone as well. And
that was when he had a process.
Yeah, and I played with him. I played with Muhammad Habibullah a couple of times, and he used to tell me about John. And he used to tell me about when they used to play in this club, man, where John they used to get on the bar and walk the bar, and people used to put dollars and stuffed dollars down in their horn.
Well, that was normal. We all walked the bar.
I didn't.
Yeah,
well, I was playing drums.
You were drums.
I was over there on the drums. But and they used to stuff this money in Coltrane's horn, man. And I was wondering how them cats used to play with money stuffed in their horn, man.
Yeah, that was the norm then. I walked the bar a couple of times.
But see, John, he lived in this area. He bought a house for his mom on 33rd Street, which is right across from Fairmount Park, which is our big park in Philadelphia, like big as Central Park, maybe even bigger. I don't know.
I think it's big in Central Park.
And he lived right across the street from the park. And in those days, he was playing with Miles Davis. And I lived in the same area. I lived in Strawberry Mansion, about 4 or 5 blocks away from him. And so it was just like regular stuff to walk down 33rd Street in that block and hear Coltrane practicing.